There's a specific kind of frustration that only exists in professional sports. It's the feeling of knowing exactly what someone is going to do, knowing exactly how they're going to beat you, and being completely, utterly powerless to stop it. In the NBA today, no one produces that feeling quite like Shai Gilgeous Alexander. But here's the thing, we aren't just talking about a player who is good. We're talking about a player who has seemingly broke the traditional logic of basketball. If you spend 5 minutes on any social media platform after an OKC game, you'll see the same war being waged. On one side, you have the purists and the Thunder faithful who see a maestro, a guy who has mastered the mid-range and the art of driving to the basket with the precision of a diamond cutter. On the other side, you have a growing population of critics who are convinced that Shai is the ultimate foul merchant. They see the box score, they see the double-digit free throw attempts, and they immediately dismiss his skill. They argue that the refs are his biggest teammates, that the league has made it illegal to even breathe on him, and that his 30 points per night average is just a byproduct of a whistle-happy league, or shall I say whistle-happy refs that work for him. This here, ladies and gentlemen, is the paradox of Shai Gilgeous Alexander. He has mastered the game so thoroughly that his excellence actually feels like cheating to a lot of watchers. When you watch the film and see how he's actually scoring, the story might be a little different though. Because although a box score or viral clips on social media could look like one thing, the film may just prove that his dominance isn't a gift from the officials, as instead it may just be a level of mastery that most players haven't or may never reach. By the end of this, you may not just see a player who gets a lot of whistles, as you may see it more in the light of a player who solved the geometry of basketball, or for some of you, he may be a grifter who's just totally ruined the NBA. Let's start by attacking the foul merchant narrative with some cold, hard data. If you want to understand why Shai is at the line so much, you have to look at how often he's actually putting himself in harm's way. Since the beginning of December, Shai has been third in the entire NBA in drives per game, averaging nearly 18 drives every single night. For context, most elite slashers don't even touch 15 drives a game. So when you live in the paint, you're going to get hit. It's basically the tax you pay for being aggressive. But here's the statistic that changes the entire conversation. If we look at December alone, and we leave out the games in January, a weird thing happened. Shai's free throw attempts actually plummeted. He was only shooting about 2.7 free throws per game, which ranked him 8th in the league during this month amongst guys who played at least 10 games. By the logic of some of SGA's haters, his scoring should have fallen off a cliff, right? Well, that's wrong, because during that exact same stretch where the whistle completely vanished, Shai was still driving the ball 18 times a game and he was still the second highest scorer in the NBA, putting up 31.4 points per night. So what exactly does this tell us? Well, it tells us that the free throws are a symptom, not the cause. He doesn't need to get to the line to be great. The line is just the only place defenders can send him to stop the bleeding when he's getting to his spots and baiting them with his craftiness. When the ref swallowed the whistle, he still gets his 30. When they call it tight, he gets his 30. The outcome is the same, regardless of how the game is being officiated. This here is the foundation of his mastery, the ability to be productive in any environment under any set of rules. And hey, I'm not one to say that he doesn't sell the call a little extra at times, because he certainly does. But I do not think we can chalk his game up to being a foul merchant. To understand how he does this, we have to go into his main laboratory, which happens to be the mid-range. In an era where the mid-range shot is often treated like a bad analytical decision, Shai has turned it into the most efficient weapon in basketball. This area is what I like to call the unpredictable vacation, because defenders know they're on an island, but they soon don't even understand what's hit them when he puts in the bucket over them like it's nothing. Now, when dissecting his mid-range scoring, it all starts with his physical presence. When you look at Shai, he isn't the most physically imposing guy or the fastest player in the league, but he is arguably the best at using the stun gun. Now, when I say stun gun, I'm talking about that shoulder bump that he serves to defenders. If you watch the way he uses his body, it's like a shield that keeps himself safe, but also deals damage to his defenders. He'll start that drive to get downhill, and unlike most guys who might shy away from the contact, Shai takes it head on by initiating the bump himself, which ends up sending guys back, and now he can rise up with no issue to bury the bucket. This isn't just as simple as using a hit stick to hit defenders, as it instead uses their momentum against themselves to create massive gaps. And now they contest, well, it simply doesn't matter. Now, when Shai is picking apart the defense like this, it may feel like the game is just rigged, just like all those sports books that have been rigging me and you, and that's why we need to delete them, because Polymarket is here. They're the largest prediction market where you can use the knowledge from my analysis to make trades at real time on any game and any state. And if you use my code MASTERY10, you get $10 free. Polymarket makes it easy by displaying odds as percentages, and you just pick a team to win. You don't get locked out like other sportsbooks will do to you, which means you can cash out at any time during the game, or get get in on the action at any time. Like when Shai was putting on for OKC and willing him to a win, you could have rolled the momentum all the way to get a big payout. Here's how simple it is to make a bet. I took OKC to win over Miami with 76% odds, and now you just wait for the nice payout. If you were to win big on any other sportsbook site, they take away $9 in fees, but Polymarket only takes away 9 cents. So yeah, use my code MASTERY10 when you sign up. No credit card, no deposit. Just make sure to use my code and come join the revolution with Polymarket. When looking at guys who created space for shots in NBA history, there's probably nobody better that's done it like this since Kobe or Jordan like Shai has. His goal here isn't to blow by you, he's actually trying to get into you, so he can then dictate exactly where the space is created. This bump he uses not only works in the mid-range, as he can use it while driving to open up lanes as well. This here is probably the most simplistic part about his game, as when you shift over into his footwork, it can honestly get complex, and is arguably the most disciplined in the league. His mastery, well, it starts in the fundamentals, where he can stop on a dime abruptly to the point where it's a death sentence for defenders who are trying to contain him. He'll be at full sprint or just a moment after bursting out of a crossover, and in a single frame his feet are set, shoulders are square, and he's rising into a shot while the defender is still sliding backwards to hopefully contain what they thought would be a drive. When advancing more into his creation, he'll use spin moves to navigate through the crowded parts of the floor where defenders think they have him stopped, and with that bump already being a staple, he'll use a light version of it, such as using that lead arm to slightly shove a defender back, and then when you add in that step back to go with it, this is when defenders have no chance of affecting the shot. This versatility of creating in this in-between area is a lost art in today's league. With most guys relying on threes and driving the ball all the way to the basket, SGA is someone who has mastered this mid-range game, making him one of the most unpredictable covers, and with that being one of the best parts of his game, this certainly isn't where it ends. As when you look at guys around the league who get to the basket to convert inside, Shai is one of, if not the best slasher in the NBA today. Now I get it, he may not produce those highlight dunks like Anthony Edwards, or be shifting with sheer speed when getting downhill like Tyrese Maxey, but Shai is someone who is calculated and can carve the defense up whenever he feels like it. That driving game of his is honestly the engine to his game, and it doesn't look like anyone else's in the NBA. As I stated, most guards use their high speed to get past their man most of the time, but Shai is like a snake who slithers to the rim, leaving defenders lost on how he made it look so easy. He has this uncanny ability to change pace and directions on the floor, almost in a way that seems to defy the natural rhythm of basketball. When he's operating on the court, he'll be patient to spot his angle he wants to attack, and once he sees it, that's when you see the gear shift to exploit the defense before scoring inside. This here throws defenders off, as you can't really time when he'll shift the pace, so really, they're at his mercy anytime he has the ball. The same pretty much goes for his change of direction. His agility is probably the best in the league if we're being honest. The way he can avoid doubles, reroute his attack angles when cut off, and just bend his body into quickness is truly a work of art. Since he can change direction so well, this plays right into the handle he has, because without it, none of this is possible. To be able to weave through traffic takes having many moves up his sleeve, and although we don't look at Shai as someone who's going to destroy ankles on any given night, he can use a combination of moves to break his defenders off, and by the time they realize what hit him, he's already slicing to the basket to go score. This is why he tends to look unguardable, because he's finding the seams in the defense like a world-class running back who finds holes in the offensive line. Now, people's first comeback will be that defenses can't play physical with him, but the reality is that Shai is so good at shifting his body away from the force of the contact that defenders end up reaching and either end up fouling him when he's in his gather, or sometimes they all out miss and get nothing but air. That there is not a gift from the ref. That's elite understanding of spatial awareness and body control when surrounded by defenders when in pursuit to the rim. I can see at times where he can oversell calls or even be a so-called terrible watch, but I don't think every time it's him stopping the game for free throws. Defenders will actually foul him just from being at the wrong spot at the wrong time, and when we talk about basketball, it has many different arts, and having the ability to sell calls is one of the most important ones in today's game. This strength of his propels his game forward heavily, and for years, he has something that did hold his game back, but now when you watch him, this is a problem that defenses have to worry about. Now what I'm talking about is his three-point shooting. For years, the one knock on Shai was that you could live with his three-point shot. If you could just keep him out the paint, you might just survive. But that window has officially closed. His improved shooting from beyond the arc has turned him into a 3-level master. He's now comfortable using that same combo handle and step backs to create space for daggers, and the confidence in his pull-ups are truly inspiring for any player in the league who looks to improve their game. He's no longer held to being just a slasher. He's now a shooter who can use that threat of his drive to set up his perimeter game. When a defender is terrified of you getting into the paint, they naturally start to back up. Shai then reads that back pedal instantly and steps back into a rhythm 3. is practically a game of pick your poison, and right now, both options are lethal. Becoming a high-level scorer from all 3 levels opens up not only your game, but your teammates as well now that the floor has tremendous spacing. But this is not the end-all be-all. The final piece of the paradox, the part that really makes him a superstar, is his gravity. Because Shai is such a threat to score from literally anywhere, he commands the attention of all 5 defenders. The second he crosses that 3-point line, the defense starts to shrink. And this is where that IQ comes in handy. He isn't just a bucket getter, he's a playmaker. He uses that attention of his scoring to set up teammates for wide open looks, whether it's a perfectly timed pocket pass in the pick and roll or a cross-court skip pass to a corner shooter. Shai is always one step ahead. He knows that the more he scores, the more the defense will double him, and the more they double him, the easier it becomes for him to dismantle them with his passing. So he's not just beating his man, he's beating the entire defensive scheme. So when people talk about the paradox of Shai Gilgeous Alexander, they're really talking about a shift in the way basketball is played. We've become so used to superstars who rely on pure raw athleticism, pretty much the guys who jump over you or through you. Shai, he's different though. He's beating you with his mind, his footwork, and his understanding of the rules. He hasn't changed the game by being the fastest, he's changed the game by being the most precise. He's simply a reminder that basketball is still a game of skill over will. When you hear people hate the way he scores, what they're really hating is the fact that their team has no answer for him. Or they just hate that the game slows down the fouls, which is understandable. But really, Shai is just unstoppable within the framework of the modern NBA. You can call him a foul merchant all you want. You can complain about the whistle and the slow pace. But while the rest of the world is busy arguing, Shai is just going to keep doing what he's doing. The paradox isn't that Shai is cheating and using the refs to his advantage. The paradox is that we're watching a master at work, and some people are too hooked on the refs and the foul calls to realize that they're watching history in the making.